Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss how the Tory leadership debate on the BBC, which was scheduled for this coming week, has been called into doubt after the Conservative Party appeared to try to use it as a carefully controlled private fundraiser for themselves, and the BBC said, no, we're a state broadcaster, go away. You would think the Conservatives would be trying to move past all the sleaze, wouldn't you? But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So the BBC were supposed to be putting on a special question time next week for the two Tory leadership contenders. However, according to the Telegraph, the Conservative Party, which is separate to the candidates themselves, have said they would not sanction the event, and the reasons are fairly spectacular. Now, I must point out here, so we're talking here about the Conservative Party, like the overarching party. Not either Jenrick or Badenoch personally. They hadn't refused to take part. But the two reasons given, the first, that's like the most shocking really, is that the Conservatives wanted to select the audience members themselves, and all the audience members would have to be Conservative Party members. Now here's the thing. So the Conservatives can argue, well, it's only Conservative members who select the leader anyway. But it's like, yeah, but the BBC are a public broadcaster. So if the Tories want to arrange an event just for party members, they can arrange that privately. I thought they were all about the private sector. You know, not be using taxpayer funded facilities, which again, I thought the Tories are not, they don't like that, do they? They don't like using taxpayer funded services. So why they wanted to on this occasion? Like the purpose of a public debate is presumably so that the public don't select the leader, but they do vote for the next government. So any justification for having these debates publicly televised should be so that the public can see where the candidates stand on various issues. And that has to include issues that maybe Conservative Party members don't consider all that interesting and therefore wouldn't ask themselves from the audience. Second reason is that the Conservatives, they wanted to charge audience members £10 a head. Now, according to the article, they claim this is to encourage people to attend on the night. Oh, if they have to pay £10, they'll be motivated to turn up, you see. But it also said that Conservative Party headquarters had said that in 2022, when they did this, it produced a noticeable drop in attendance. But obviously, the BBC can't go along with that either. I know the Tories are a little bit skint at the moment, but they must be desperate if they're trying to use the leadership contest as a fundraiser, which they effectively already are doing. They've already charged the actual candidates hundreds of thousands of pounds between them as like fees for the contest, for being in the contest. Never miss a trick to fleece people, do they? Including each other. After all, they couldn't argue that this £10 fee was to cover costs, because that would be perfectly reasonable, because the costs are being borne by the BBC and therefore us, the taxpayer. So unless the candidates decide to turn up anyway, which they're sort of free to do, although the article does suggest that the contest rules say they're not supposed to if the party hasn't sanctioned these debates, then it looks like we're going to be either spared or denied the spectacle, depending on your viewpoint. I mean, there's a sense in which I don't like this sort of thing, but also it would have been quite fun to watch Fiona Bruce trying to work out who she was supposed to be batting for when the entire lineup is Tory. You know, if it doesn't go ahead, which I think it would benefit Badenoch more, who won't want to be seen to be hiding away from scrutiny, but will welcome any opportunity to hide away from scrutiny. You know, the article did say that Robert Jenrick had confirmed that he would be happy to attend anyway, but that Badenoch was waiting for the party's verdict, suggested, oh, but the rules of the contest say we're not allowed to do televised debates unless they're sanctioned by the party, implying that she's going to use their refusal to sanction it as an excuse. After all, Badenoch comfortably won the audience vote on the GB News hosted debate, which Jenrick had to then dismiss as, oh, it's a London-centric audience, which it may well have been, but, you know, that's what he had to do. Oh, they're not real Tory party members, you see. It also makes you wonder what was agreed for the other televised debates. Presumably the same. I can't imagine the Conservatives were singling out the BBC for special treatment here. So I guess we have to work on the assumption that any TV debates that have happened or will happen between the two party members will be ones where the Conservative Party have hand-selected the audience and charged the audience members for attending. So I guess all the audience members for the GB News debate were also 100% Conservative Party members. making the vote for Badenoch a little more worrying for Jenrick, who appears to be playing catch-up. No wonder he wants to attend as many interviews and debates as possible. The problem for him is he doesn't seem to be getting ahead with them. You know, it's like when you're behind, yes, absolutely, you need to take every opportunity to then to press your case. But he doesn't seem to be doing it very well. For example, like he keeps talking about wanting to get immigration down to like the tens of thousands, which would be like zero in practical terms. But he was the actual immigration minister who was in charge as all of the things happened which led to the record levels of net migration in the UK. You know, he claims he was opposed to his own government's Chagos Islands negotiation when he said, oh, the Labour shouldn't have done this. And it was actually pointed out to him, your government that started this. Yeah, I didn't like it then either. And it's like, well, like, you didn't say so, did you? I spoke to ministers privately about it. No, you didn't. He wasn't shy. When he stepped down as immigration minister, he was not shy at criticising government policy on absolutely everything that he thought would endear him to the people he needed their support. He didn't mention it at all. Not a peep out of him. Are we really supposed to believe that he was discreet about this one policy he disagreed with? Do me a favour. And then there's all the dodginess of his campaign funding, like including from a sanctioned Russian oligarch, which I think I may bring up at some point, maybe in the stream tonight, but there is something else I want to focus on first. You know, if I were a Conservative Party member with my head screwed on, not one of the swivel-eyed loons, you know, I would be aware that there were two overriding factors which sunk the party at the election. There's lots of detail, and they should get into the detail, but there are two overriding factors. The first was the issue of basic competence. I cannot explain that enough. It wasn't to do with policies, it was to do with competence. Even policies that the public sort of went, yeah, we agree with that policy, they didn't believe the Conservatives were competent enough to implement it because they hadn't after 14 years. Now, that is a tough one for any candidate to deal with, even a good one, because it's really hard to prove competence from opposition, right? But the second one is something that the next Tory leader could do something about if they were minded. The second one was sleaze and corruption. Now, if as a Conservative Party member, you thought your party needs to resurrect its image in that regard, the last thing you would want is Robert Jenrick to be representing your party. You wouldn't even want him in the shadow cabinet, let alone leading the party. He is so dodgy that even Conservative commentators have to keep picking him up on it. And he's really bad at deflecting the criticism. He also plans to make Jacob Rees-Mogg the party chair. Now, Jacob Rees-Mogg is not dodgy in the sense that Conservative voters or members would see it. But, you know, I'm looking at this, and as a Labour supporter, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, looking at both the candidates, and I'm thinking how each one is likely to crash and burn long before the election in their own different ways. But you look at Robert Jenrick and how easy it will be, because every line he will try to attack Labour with, Labour can just fire straight back at him. Easy to point out the hypocrisy with him. You know, and then you think how useless their campaigns would be with Jacob Rees-Mogg in charge of them, because the party chair basically, in the general election, you get the professionals in, right? You pay for a professional campaign strategist. But for in between general elections, like for local elections and by-elections and things like that, yeah, it's your party chair that organises the strategy and everything else. Having Jacob Rees-Mogg in charge of that would be hilarious as a Labour supporter. Absolutely hilarious. And you just think, yeah, I hope the Tories pick him. I just don't think they're going to, which is fine, because that just means we'll get the Badenoch meltdowns instead. It's all good. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can join for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.